guess it's fair game at this point. Now we're on, though. Now we're on. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? I guess it's fair game at this point. Ladies and gentlemen. Osvaldo, give us something, man.
Do we have any delay now? Or any... We switched Wi-Fi providers.
For real, literally. Oh, yeah, this fucking play.
Sounds good.
I'm good. You good?
Looks pretty good too.
Yeah, I like the color.
Mm-hmm.
Gives us a different type of little retro vibes. So we can close this, not act like using this one. Ooh, we're missing, the table's kind of empty. So give me a minute. Entertain the folks.
I need to go get a Fanta.
You want?
I'll take
I'll get it.
I'll take a
Entertain
Fanta.
the folks. Tell them to subscribe to Cats and Sila. Whatever you want.
So we need to unplug everything.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Let's see. What's the button? Jesus, did you take my phone?
What?
Did you take my phone?
No, I did not, sir.
Oh, you did not? Oh, okay. I had to find it. You don't have any more toys? You don't have any more toys?
Well, that's what I'm getting. This table look mad empty, bruh. Here's your zero sugar Fanta.
I've never had one.
Have you ever had a no sugar?
I've had no sugar water.
Alright, so we did it today. How was that? No sugar water, sir.
It's pretty
How'd
good.
that go?
It was really good.
It was really good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we could tell, the audio is good. As you guys can see, we're going for a retro vibe today. You know, real quick. No, this is the Sony what?
Xperia.
This is Sony Xperia, the last year model, right?
Mm.
Or is that new? Or still the recent one?
So it's the Xperia 1V.
It's Xperia. It's Xperia 1V.
One Roman numeral V.
One Roman numeral V. We're running the stream on there. So if the lighting looks a little retro, that's what we're doing today. Oh, we can't see the green guy. We still can't see the green guy. Oh, it's on a delay. Tripping over here. Today's been that kind of day, ladies and gentlemen. One day we'll tell this story of today, but today will not be the day. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Higher Thought Show. I am HT or Jesus, depending how well you know me or how close you can get to me. First of all, just drop a like, man. Get that fat ass finger up. Stop hating, because we need the likes, all right? So just
That's
drop a like.
finger shaming.
Oh, my fault. The human finger. Can I call it a human finger? Get your little human limb.
It's still just little.
Oh,
Just a
yeah.
little.
You're right. You're right. What's the scientific word for the finger?
What the hell is it? Your phalanges.
Oh, that's the actual word. I thought people
Or-
were fucking around when they would say
I
that.
don't remember exactly the word for it, but I think it's something along those lines.
Okay, well, raise your little phalanges and just hit the like, man. Just be like, you might have a good day tomorrow if you like this stream today.
That's why there's carpal tunnel syndrome for your fingers.
There is.
So I don't know if it's your fingers or your hand. I don't remember.
I used to get that when I was little, when they would make us write with pencils on pages. I'd get carpal tunnel. But anyways, before like and subscribe to the channel. You already know. And I do have Osvaldo with me today. But before we check in with him, make sure you subscribe to Cats and Sila Go stream all his new. Go check out his new video. He dropped the other day his live set from the Monkey Bar off Santa Fe. So go check out that video. Go run the likes. Go subscribe. Road to 500 on his channel. Oh yeah, and he has a special guest on the Next Mile High Electro show every Sunday, 8:30 Mountain Time on his channel. Go check it out. I think he's gonna do a co-set with another local DJ. So go show him some love. I think his name is Agnes, Agis,
With
Agis,
an X.
X something. But go check on his channel. Go check his Instagram. That's where you can find all this info. All right, Osvaldo. Well, here. Let's get your live reaction. This is Zero Fanta. Give us.
It smells like Fanta.
Yeah, but taste that shit. It don't hit the same.
I guess not bad.
I
Well, I don't
mean,
know the aftertaste.
aftertaste is it's like protein diety kind of. I mean, they did a good job. They drove it as much as they could maintain the intensity of the sugar flavor.
Yeah, that's why I don't like zero
Yeah.
sugar products.
You just like that straight sugar, huh? Just like it straight raw, huh?
It's just more natural.
More natural, real sugar. Yeah, I like chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
So how you doing, Osvaldo?
Pretty good.
How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling fantastic.
Of course you are. Of course you are. You can say whatever you want to. Actually, that's fine. He feels fantastic, ladies and gentlemen.
Because I'm drinking a Fanta.
Oh, you got to turn it around. Get the Coca-Cola owns Fanta, right? Yeah, they do. Yeah, get that. Shout out to Zero Sugar Fanta, I guess. How you feeling, man? How's your week going?
This week, it's been okay. I had a few hiccups along the way. Unexpected adversaries.
Let me help you out. Unexpected no, not adversaries. Yeah, you probably said it right. Never mind. Take that back. Oh yeah, a lot of hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of leads up like that when you're about to pass a milestone. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just hiccups. You know, can't just leave unscratched. Can't leave into the sunset.
We can get there. We can return to our previous form in a way.
I do agree with that. We do. We will always get back to our
Mhm.
previous form. But you know,
Yeah, like I already ordered one part. Now I need to order a few more parts, and then we'll be fine.
you said a few more parts as well. yeah. I'm glad you were able to find them. You know,
Mhm.
it was less stress for all of us. Let's just
Mhm.
say let's just say it like that.
Yeah, less stress for everyone. The other parties involved.
Parties involved is crazy. Oh, we doing this. All right. What's up with the other parties involved? Please tell me. I'm deeply curious about the other parties involved.
The other parties involved. If the situation was any other way, it would have complicated the situation and elevated the complexities of the current situation.
For sure. I could only agree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the current situation was dealt with, still dealing with it. Um, low level, uh, low level adversary, basically.
Low level.
But again, any other circumstances, it would have been high level.
It would have been. It would have been an amazing day.
Mhm.
It was
If that situation was
just tweaked a little
red,
different.
if it was red instead of black, it would have been over, basically.
Really over. I'd have pissed on it too. just to feel.
Or turned it yellow.
Yeah, just whatever. We're already here. Might as well. Insult to injury. No, but yeah, we are fixing things. The good thing about that. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, but we'll tell them the story another day. So aside from that, how's life, man? What's new with you? I haven't just spoken to you on camera like this in a while. We always speak.
It's been a while.
I know. So what's going on with you, man? How's your life? You don't really tell me things off camera, so I don't know what's going on.
Nothing usually happens. I just come here to the stream once a week.
Just stream once a week.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
And then you just go home, huh?
I don't even go home.
What was the last stepping stone that you took? That's creepy.
They're just open.
Yeah. What was the last stepping stone that you took? The last one.
Last stepping stone. I went on a hike recently. I had to skip few stones there. Um,
I wish we had the sound effects of an audience for those fucking jokes right there.
it was they were big stepping stones. I won't lie. They were pretty challenging. I had to kind of jump on them.
Would you go hiking?
Where was it?
What's the name of the hike?
I don't even know where it was actually. It was all the way up. It was north.
Okay. Up. It was up, bitch. That was wild. So up north, a lot of big stepping stones.
It was north. It was well more precisely northwest.
Northwest.
hmm
How long was it?
Like an hour.
Like an hour.
Yeah, not too bad.
So that was your last stepping stone.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stepping stones. So you had to jump from one to other. Some of them were big ones. Some of them were small ones. Small ones are a bit more dangerous actually because it's a bit more, not that much ground or not that much area to land on. Well, the bigger ones, lots of surface area to land on. Well,
You analyze each stone as you're fucking passing them by. You fucking took out your phone and just noted down some scientific.
and then some of them were sloped, so you had to account for the slope, angle of incidence, basically.
Mm-hmm.
See what the coefficient of friction is.
Right.
Then you can analyze and see if it's a truly a stepping stone. If not, it's just a passing stone.
Okay. All right. That's Rapper Osvaldo, guys. That's Rapper Osvaldo. Go subscribe and stream all his original music where he has a lot of scientific innuendos. Yo, do you think? Oh, by the way, but before I go any further, because I don't think I've said it in a while, as far as the Higher Thought Show. Look, I like to theorize about things. Okay, I like thinking deep about certain things.
You like to turn the gears in your mind?
Yeah, about any idea. I am not an expert. I will never claim to be, but I am human and I am very curious about knowledge to further our species, and I will never shy away from taking a shot at a conversation or as a theory. So that's what we do on the Hard Thought Cast. We're not claiming to be experts. We will soon have an official scientist on board here soon. But aside from that, we're having the conversation. We're theorizing here, and I will never stop doing that. And that's why it's a Higher Thought show. So I just want to give that disclaimer quick.
We can only hope of becoming backed by science.
I like that. We could only hope to be backed by science. I like that. You put that on the shirt, bro. NTI. We could only hope to be backed by scientists. But anyways, yeah, just had to give that quick disclaimer to these folks listening. Shout out to y'all listening. Subscribe. We appreciate y'all. But my question to you, sir.
You didn't finish your drink.
I know, but the expression is more important than my thirst right now. Do you think we will ever be able to box in hope and sell it like a product? Or do we already do that?
We do it already.
How?
Just on anything we sell.
It has to be hope, right?
You have to hope this product works. You have to hope it does what it says.
So it's consumerism based on hope?
Basically.
Or marketing, I should say?
You're trying to sell something. You're trying to get someone to buy.
Trying to hope that these people think that they need it enough to spend their hard-earned money.
The hope works both ways. You want to hope someone buys your stuff, and you want to hope whatever you buy works.
So has hope been materialized this whole time that we've made it this far in evolution?
Well, it's always been the same way. Even when we were trading, we traded based on we hoped this would win ourselves a deal, or we hoped this wouldn't mess me up financially, basically.
But if we go further enough and we think about evolution, we didn't hope to survive, right?
Well,
Or
we kind of did.
no, it was selected to survive. The
Well, we hoped we had the capacity to survive. That doesn't necessarily mean we survived, though.
But did we actually hope to survive? Did we even know it was possible to survive? Did we even think that we were going to make it this far? I mean, I guess at some point in time when we reach the higher knowledge and sophistication of things, sure. But at the very beginning, do you think those different hominids at some point thought, oh, I hope to survive? I hope to.
That is a interesting and complicated question. Like, there was recently a video of, I think it was a chimpanzee.
Mm-hmm.
Her daughter had passed away after
Right.
2 days being born.
Yeah.
The chimp basically carried her for a week in her arms, dead. And that's basically the grieving process.
Carrying it around dead?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, again, every animal or every species grieves differently.
But they grieve nonetheless.
Yeah. So
Is it just mammals that grieve? Or like across nature?
across nature,
Yeah.
again, there's different levels. Like elephants will um, make like a memorial site. Like they'll
Yeah, I have seen videos of that. And they
like,
actually like move their trunks.
yeah, like they'll
and
be
prepare
like
it.
around the animal, then leave. Chimps do it the same way. There was another video. I forgot what type of monkeys they were. I think they were monkeys, not
Describe them. Were they small, big?
small and like white fur.
Oh, those annoying ones?
I,
Are they long limbed? Like
yeah,
long
I
limbs?
forgot. I forgot what they were called, but there's also a video where they show a video of a doll that looks like this animal,
Mm-hmm.
and at the height of the fall of this doll, well, the animal kind of knew, okay, well, it's dead,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just like carrying it around, like kind of like throwing it around, trying to see if it's alive.
It was just like,
Hmm. And then it sees no response, so it kind of freaks out.
mm-hmm.
So again, starts throwing it, trying to make it wake up. Because again, animals have kind of evolved to understand that, like us humans,
Mm-hmm.
we do chest compressions,
Mm-hmm.
and that might help. They've learned that if they throw an animal around, smack
Waking
it
it
around,
up a little bit.
yeah, maybe that will get it to wake up.
So there's hope right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just the action of, no, wait, no way. You're just
Yeah.
sleeping.
Yeah.
No. Right? In the hope that it will be activated again or
Yeah,
awakened
or like
again.
again, you throw it, it might restart the heart again, like how we do chest compressions.
Right.
For them, it's throwing the animal in a way.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that specific question because I remember you always say because through the idea of evolution, these steps were chosen because this would give us the better outcome for us to make it this far. Now, was the atoms doing that intentionally, or is it doing it just because the environment happened to offer and then it just happened to work out for to survive? Or it's how we always speak about when we bring up Einstein and what makes him aside from general scientists because there's a lot of great scientists out there, right? But he had the intention to find the theory. He didn't just bump into it like most scientific discoveries accidentally happen. The majority of them, I would say, right? So was that the same idea as the the is we started forming or the bacteria that started forming us to be this? Was it hoping to survive, or
I don't think that early life, I don't think they were hoping to survive. I think they were just more reactionary.
yeah, it was like it was just happened to work out that the environment offered these things and it happened to mix with what we had.
Even the first signs of a brain, basically, we could say, or a brain stem, even that was also reactionary. It didn't have the higher level thinking of I hope I survive. It was just like I do these steps, and there's a and it didn't understand that it could survive, but this is what
it kind of unknowingly, like the unspoken rules that
Mm-hmm.
if you do this, you're actually might be
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
right? It was unspoken for
The
a lot.
animal didn't choose to think that way. It was just that they were born this way, and that's what gave him the advantage.
So, do you think we would be further along if we never learned to hope?
No,
Or
well, that's the thing that gave us
better,
evolution.
better
Well,
things,
basically, again, you have
better
these.
maximization of
Yeah.
evolution?
So basically, now we have take two animals.
Right.
One of them just has the traits.
Mm-hmm.
The other one has the traits, but hope. The one that has the traits is just gonna do what the traits say to do.
Mm-hmm.
The ones with hope will actually try to maximize
Mm-hmm.
their traits.
Right, right.
And evolutionarily, that's the one that wins. The one that tries to do something or hope.
Hope. Yeah, so it's that concept, I won't say word, but the concept of the idea of that word is ingrained in us, right? We just got smart enough to kind of really understand and materialize it more, right? And
Because
really,
we could say it could still happen today. Let's say there's some special product out there that makes us survive longer
right.
or better in any way. And you kind of don't know what that product is. So it's either you have someone that has a product or someone that has a product that has hope. The one that has a product might just use it but not even care they have it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
While the person that has hope, they're going to try to use it in every way possible
Okay.
or even in a better stance.
So if MTI somehow figured out to put you in a program where you were head of detailing the next part of human evolution, how would you go about it, or how would you go into that idea? What's like if you were giving the burden of delegating, what's the next steps and why, and what would you do?
So up to this point, we've gotten to a point where the brain is very s- smart on its own.
100% on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give a little more context to that idea? Because I think a lot of people think that the brain is more conscious than it really is, as far as our reality that we see every
The
day.
brain is very unconscious. So, like, your nose, you
Right.
should be able to see it. Like, your eyes are positioned in a way where you can't see it. But the brain is like, well, you don't really need the nose to see. So it automatically filters it out. So it just removes it.
Right.
The same thing happens with other parts of our vision. So our eyes are composed of a bunch of firing neurons
Mm-hmm.
or and or these firing cells basically. Sometimes they're just random.
Right.
So that sometimes in your vision pops up as kind of like snow or like just like a signal, like a static signal on a TV.
Like those little, almost like little fur balls that
Mm-hmm.
float around. If you have any kind of like stigma, you could probably see it sometimes when you don't wear your glasses. Just like it looks like it's in your eye.
Yeah, so that's just your brain seeing that it's a signal. But again, it's not really needed.
Right.
These are random signals that don't mean anything. They're not your actual vision.
But
They're
they're there.
they're
The mechanism seems to be there.
yeah,
Just as far as the statement that goes that it's not needed so far because obviously
or it was needed before. This could be remnants of the first vision.
of the first version of it, right?
The first version of vision was basically taking every sensory information we could.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if we go back, we have two people. Person that has vision but doesn't have that much sensitivity.
Right.
Another person that has a lot of vision, a lot of sensitivity, lots of signals.
Mm-hmm.
Evolutionarily wise, the one that has a bunch of signals is going to survive,
Mm-hmm.
even though the signals are overdone.
Right.
So we've gotten to the point where evolutionarily, we still have those signals,
Mm-hmm.
but the brain is able to be like, oh, okay, they're not
They're not needed.
They're not needed.
useful.
They're too many signals.
Yeah.
where initially it was needed to outcompete the ones with little signals, little amount of signals.
Right.
But now we don't need to compete anymore.
So now we can kind of lay back a little bit and kind of walk through the mechanisms prior to our final version of vision that we have now, right? And I like how you worded it when you brought me that you were thinking about this idea where you said the better development of the detail oriented skill to be better detail oriented in every day, right? Because the vision we have now was for us to survive,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it became different as we faced different things along the way,
Yeah.
right? But now it's almost like, well, we're okay here. There doesn't need to be an adaptable change yet, as far as we could tell, right?
We could be adapting technically. Like,
It's in a small way.
yeah. So, again, it could be in a big way and it could be in a small way.
Right.
A big way could be, let's say there's some type of disease going around that you need to be able to see.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the adaptability to see it, you might be more prone to get infected by it.
Okay, so within the inner workings
Again,
of our biology, it's happening.
This is just an imaginary situation. Like, let's say,
Theorizing, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, let's just say all around the world, there's like random clouds
Right.
that that you just can't see.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like clouds of because even right now, like in the air, there's a bunch of molecules. There's a bunch of viruses.
Sound makes a wave. So
Well, yeah, there's a bunch of viruses in the air, a lot of bacteria in the air, but you just can't see it because it's so tiny.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say there's a clump of them in a certain
area.
Let's say there's area for some reason there's a higher clump of bacteria or viruses.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say your vision has evolved to be acute enough to notice like this area is maybe a bit darker than the rest of the area. That could signal that it's filled more with bacteria or viruses. Again, this is just speculation or theory. A person that can see that will most likely avoid it.
Right.
While any other person would just walk through it. They don't see it. So at that point, the person that walks through it gets infected, has a lower probability of having offspring compared to the person that avoids it.
Okay.
So that would be in the big way.
The big way.
Now, in the small way,
Mm-hmm.
it could be that our phones, our vision, lights are affecting our brain in whatever way.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, they are, but anyway.
yeah, but again, like in a more detrimental way where it's affecting.
It's obvious.
Where it's affecting
Common.
us to have offspring, maybe.
Yeah.
So now you have two type of people: people that are affected by this light and it's affecting their offspring, compared to this other version that are not affected by the light and their offspring are normal. This side, where their offspring are normal, are more likely to reproduce, more likely for these traits to be passed down.
Right.
So the trait of not being affected by light is passed down, and it becomes an evolution.
So, just to give context on that part, evolution is official when it's passed down throughout multiple generations or one?
It's evolution is when it passed when
To
it's
every human?
everyone.
Every human develops the adaptation. Okay. So at some point we were seeing these, I don't know, these dust bunnies, let's just call them, because that's what they kind of remind me. Or when I look at mine, that's what it reminds me. And they just flow, right? And at some point we were able to see everything that was, or is, I mean, because it's still there. Like you were just describing, there's still virus in the air. There's these other molecules. Like there's, when you make a sound, there's a wave that actually exists. It's not just the sound. It's not just the actual what you're hearing. There's something there. We just can't see that, right? So why do you? But like how you describe it, the reason why we kind of dismissed it because we want to not made more of us, right? Because if we saw everything with that clearness and that intensity, that we'd be more fearful, right, of the world around us.
Yeah, so
Almost.
that part, I don't think we can know for sure since we weren't around at the time.
No, for sure.
But we can theorize basically that
Theorize. Theorize.
if we had a person that saw this all this stuff obstructing their vision, most maybe it's more likely they would get eaten since they couldn't see clearly. More likely for them not to have good social relationships because again they couldn't see clearly. It could be that the brain used too much resources to fire all those neurons, get all that information,
Throughout all those dusts.
making it more likely for this person to go malnourished, maybe. So there's a bunch of reasons why it wasn't beneficial.
Yeah. And as I'm listening to you, before we get to the main part that we've been discussing off camera, well, anyway, I feel it. I don't know if it's a general thing, but in nature, my awareness is better.
Mm.
It it kind of turns on a little more. Obviously, today my awareness sucked, but in nature, when I'm in nature, I'm more aware. I can hear a little better. I can sense the like the what's that vision called from the corner?
Like peripheral
Yeah, the
vision.
peripheral is more active, like more rapid eye movement. Physically, there's a calmness that allows that awareness. Like every little noise, I can probably
Mhm.
hear it. So would that be another way to go back to the old mechanisms or wake them up?
So
Because when we go back and if you're constantly in nature hiking or running or biking and all these, or even snowboarding, all these different things you can do in nature, and you do it often, wouldn't you be able to practice that awareness a little more?
I don't. That's not enough to trigger it because again we have evolved to
To
suppress
trigger
it.
the eye part or the part of the brain that manages this part of the brain.
We've gone to a point where through evolution, it's easier for the brain to just be like, okay, we understand there's this there's these things we see in our vision. We understand we have a nose. We understand that there's like details all over the world. It's called the raw data basically. So the raw data, our brain understands it, it sees
Right.
it, but it's just like
It's not useful.
it's useless. Yeah, it's useless. Like why take resources into understanding it when it's not really needed? So the only way for it to be accessible, well, there's a few ways for it to be accessible. One way is for there are certain people already where the brain doesn't have that capability.
Okay.
So they do see more raw data.
Than most.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having dark vision or dark vision goggles and or not having it.
Yeah, so these people are born with their DNA basically saying, um, read the raw data. Don't completely filter it out.
So, in is there an idea or a thought process where those people are more limited, just because?
Well, it would depend on the situation, but it could be it could be so bad that their life is debilitating.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially if you can't see, like how you just mentioned the basics socially.
Yeah,
Uh,
like this person might go
bright
in.
light might meet too
Yeah, might
much.
go insane. Just can't have a regular life where this would impede them to have a social life and would impede them having any offspring. So that trait of let's see a little bit more raw data, it never gets passed down.
And so, and it seems if the brain is not able to take the raw data serious enough, and nothing happens, because, like as you said, that's not enough to trigger that type of change across the board, right?
Yeah, so the only way it would be able to be triggered again is for the someone to be born with that capability.
And that, yeah, it would have to start within,
Mm-hmm.
right, from the genome.
The the other way for it to be triggered would be to mess with the brain's signaling.
True. Okay, so I know what you're going, and I want to go there, but the idea would be just to turn it on, because it's obviously to everyday life now, what we've made modern
Mm-hmm.
human society, it's useless technically, right? But so that means we just need to find a balance of knowing when to turn it on and when to turn off the raw data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to know, just not want it back, not to have it as our original vision, but to be able to turn it on in certain moments. As you know, when dogs are at night, they have natural night vision. That's why they can see really good at night,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just having that off switch, right? That would be the idea of it. Not wanting to get it back or use that as the original, going back to that.
Yeah. So again, the raw data, the brain sees it as useless.
Right.
But what's to say maybe parts of it are useful?
That's what I'm saying.
So the brain can also see very fine detail
Yeah.
or very fine color. So usually in gradients, like if you look at the color wheel,
Mm-hmm.
if you understand colors,
Yeah.
have you ever looked at the color wheel?
Yeah.
Um, you'll see that there's a combination of colors that make one color,
Right.
and each one has different shades. If you look at a painting, you can see that there's different shades of
The one color.
purple, green, yellow.
That's why you would mix colors when you were a little kid.
Yeah, so
Mix
there's
colors to get
different.
other colors.
Yeah, so and even then there's like a lighter and a darker,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a physical separation.
Okay.
So if like there's a physical separation between this dark one, this dark yellow, and this light yellow.
Right.
There's a line between them. But again, the evolution, we didn't really need to know about that line. So we kind of just, our brain, whenever it sees these gradients, just makes it, oh, this side's lighter, this side's darker. And it just gradually changes.
And there's not really a difference.
Yeah.
There's on papers, it's one of the same thing. It's just the moving of forward of the gradients, lighter to dark.
Yeah. So that's all we see. Yeah, if we look closely into it, we can see these differences.
Right.
But usually we don't care about it.
Not
Again,
enough.
yeah. So that's the brain basically saying it's not needed for us to care. We understand this color is green. We understand this
And
color
that's
is
it.
yellow. That's it. Or even the shade of it.
Right.
But the raw data is basically us analyzing every single color.
Because you say that, and then I think about what I said about the nature thing and how you said, what if we end up in an environment where for survival we would have to kind of see the raw data more?
But where is that?
Mars? Just because, as of right now, technically, there's no life on it. There's no real development. It's a living planet because things happen there, right? But what if we would have to see things in that microscopic way to understand development or life?
Well, Mars isn't technically alive.
Yeah, but it's not a dwarf.
No. But I'm saying is that for a planet to be alive, like Earth is alive because it has
Because we have life.
life.
Yeah, okay. So we don't have life on it, right?
No.
But there's something going on because there's still chemicals, there's still
Yeah,
gases,
it's
there's still
mhm.
radiation, there's still things happening. There's not the life we know because that's what we consider life because that's what God is. But there's
Oh,
still
I see what you're saying. I see what you're
there's still
saying.
something going on.
Yes, possibly. Yeah. So here on Earth, yeah, we evolved because we basically didn't technically need it. But on Mars, well, again, we can't know for sure.
No, we don't know.
We could
You're right.
technically,
You're right.
technically, we might need it. Technically, we might not need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But would that environment be strong enough to cause that adaptation enough, at least before we end up where we're gonna go right now? I'm just trying to think environment because, as far as I could tell, environment's still a big impact in us in general, and it continues to be. So, and that's a full 360 as far as a full environment change because we're literally leaving home planet to go to this um, brother planet or sister planet because I know it's close by, and that would be a whole different change.
We wouldn't know until
Put a human on it.
yeah, we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know until multiple humans are on there,
Yeah, because they would have to
have offspring.
interact. And
They would
stuff.
have to interact. We wouldn't fully know until certain people end up dying or not having offspring,
Right.
or the population shifts in how they see things. And again, this might never happen. Like there's a chance that we go to Mars, and that shift we do need technically, like how we were saying, like theorizing,
Mm-hmm.
we might need that ability. But if it never develops, then it just never develops.
And we never needed it in hindsight. Or that wasn't enough to
Mhm.
trigger that
Yeah.
mechanism for us to either use it or use it for that time being to at least develop life, quote unquote.
It's because again, the only way traits are done is by adaptability.
Adaptation.
Yeah, adaptation. But adaptation is also when you're born. So you basically have to be born with this adaptation already, because most adaptations are
So that-
misadaptations, are errors in the DNA.
And do we know what causes errors? Or is that just
It's
a
just random. It's just random.
It just didn't match or something or
Mhm.
didn't see.
Yeah. So because
Hmm.
the human body wants it to be the same.
Right.
It wants it to be the same because you survived, you gave offspring.
This seems to work.
Yeah.
This
So
seems to
now let's have this offspring.
Exact same one.
Mm-hmm. You could say that's the perfect, because there's certain animals where that's what they do. Their offspring are an exact copy of themselves.
And that's what like our DNA is based on, right? That's why we do every day. We break down and build up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like our cells, like same thing. Our cells are also trying to copy each other.
Yeah.
And again, there's might be slight differences, but they try to copy all
They're
of
like,
it.
it's a white corner. It's
Mhm.
fine.
But it's not always useful, because let's say you have
A bad copy of
a
something.
bad. You're not necessarily the best specimen in
Right.
in your species.
I'm not.
So if you make a if you make a direct copy of yourself, maybe it's not the best copy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have, like in humans, like we need a male and a female
Mm-hmm.
to get 50-50 of each side,
Right.
just to, again, that signifies that these two people had good genes. So now let's make someone with better genes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where these misalignments in DNA, or fragments of error, basically. They're called mutations, basically. Mutations because they're not the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So these mutations are what signify these traits. So, but even then, these mutations take a long time.
For sure.
And it could start with an offspring that has one random letter off. And then they have an offspring, and it's the next letter off. So it won't show up until that specific codes for that trait.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like I was saying, if we send someone to Mars, that those traits would have to be in the DNA for it to be, yeah.
Or a span of time where a lot of attempts die off and then until the one is born with that
Yeah.
adaptation, right?
Or it could just be that we gradually get there. Like we gradually add these. We're It's called being fit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So you're fit to have offspring.
Right.
So it could be that everyone is fit to have offspring, but just at a later date, there's this evolution or this mutation that basically helps the whole species,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be the other way.
The other way. Okay. I was just trying to think outside a little bit of how to have that intention to, because you know me. Every time we speak about the evolution theory or that, no, not theory, the idea of it, I don't know. It's It's a little too slow for my liking. So I'm always trying to figure out some sort of intention to get there or to speed up the thing. So, well, let's get back to where we were first going. So the idea now, and please take over and give more context, is it seems that these mechanisms can be reached and triggered in this psychedelic state
What do you mean?
of the raw data vision.
Oh, I see what we're saying. Okay. Um, Possibly. So, again,
Because you do see different when you're on a psychedelic.
so the reason for that is because, like I mentioned earlier, our brain is just signals. It's
Yeah,
just a
it's
bunch of
just
brain
neurons to
signals.
neurons,
Yeah.
electric signals.
So, if you ever disrupt those signals, either by traumatic brain injury or these psychedelics, the the way your brain's supposed to function will stops doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like let's say in your normal vision, there's certain neurons or cells that send this specific information to this certain part of the brain.
Yeah.
When the brain is disrupted, you're still getting that information,
Right.
but instead of going to the part of the brain that filters it out, it doesn't go there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not filtered out. So it goes straight to your consciousness. So you see it. So in this theory, basically,
It's cold as fuck in here, bro. Didn't I turn off the AC?
I think you turned it off, no?
Yeah, it's a fucking window. Never mind. Sorry, it's just cold in here. That's why I yawn. Not young, because I'm bored. It's cold. Go ahead.
Um, Basically, if someone were to use psychedelics, they could potentially get the unfiltered view of the world because their brain is not getting the signals to eliminate it or to hide it.
Unnecessary
Yeah.
data
Mm-hmm.
that's not useful. For some reason, there seems to be, well, certain parts that the psychedelic affects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certain transmitters. Okay. So, do we use that state to exercise this and to try to understand the raw data? Because there seems to be things, right? Because just what we have and are now in this reality that we exist in, right? There's particles going on here. This table is not. We think it's just a plastic wood table with, I guess, metal legs, but it's a bunch of things put together, right? The same, almost kind of the same thing that materializes us, right? So, and how you would say, or that meme you send, where just theorizing, technically your hand can go through the table, technically, just theorizing, right? Because it would be the correct word would be atoms.
Mm-hmm.
It would be catching the atoms at the right time to have that split and have your hand go through there, right? So with that in mind, if we put ourselves in a psychedelic state of mind where, and when we, and just to give context for those people that I don't know, never heard, never watched a movie or video or even tried it themselves, I don't know, did some little bit of research, and it's different for everybody. I'm not saying that it happens for everybody, but for most people, you do have uh, a you hallucinate objects, things that are not seen there. Like for example, the couple of times that I've chosen to consume psilocybin, I would stare at a plant or at a flower or even a tree, and you can visually see the life vibrating off that plant. You can. It is almost as if the plant was telling you, "Look, I'm here. I'm alive." It wasn't, obviously it didn't speak to me, but you can visually see the vibrating life in that. Like, oh, that's alive. Like you've seen it. Like you could just tell. And that's what I mean by a psychedelic state of mind. And it's not. It doesn't happen for everybody. It happens for me because it's different depending on your mind and all that stuff. But in a so what could that mean? What how beneficial could it be to be able to see something to understand that detail enough where you know that's alive. You can stare at something and without really touching it or even smelling, you could just know it's alive. That's a live thing.
So I think that's also evolutionarily. Like you basically had to know how to distinguish between maybe a food source or a medicine.
Yeah, because we definitely had to do that, especially with plants. After
Mm,
plants learned how to like make themselves poisonous so they don't get eaten,
yeah,
right?
compared to something that's not useful like a rock.
Right.
So evolutionarily, we had to learn these differences. So it could be like I don't think that's been proven at all in any way,
No, we just did right.
but it could be that that in a long time ago, before we evolved,
Mm-hmm.
these plants were more radiant to us, or these colors were more. Um,
So they were right. At some
mm-hmm,
point, we were able to do that.
mm-hmm.
We That's how we picked up what was good for us or poisoned for us, right? That's how we detail when we hunters and gatherers type vibes, right? We
Yeah,
could tell the dangerous.
maybe not the dangerous part, but just distinguish what might be. Yeah, like even again, like
Yeah, because you had to tell what berries were good for you,
yeah,
right? After homie died last week.
yeah. So maybe you needed to know the texture of it, or know the color gradient on it.
So walk with me in this thought experiment. So now that we've modernized it, and we obviously because we have the best version so far, technically,
Mm-hmm.
as far as what is proven in data and stuff. So now that we're laid back, we're relaxed. We don't. Some of us don't even go in nature at this point. Some of us think fucking polar bears are Coca-Cola ads. What do you think one of the benefit for us to develop or to turn on to learn how to turn on that mechanism when needed?
Again, we would have to know. It would be difficult. The difficult part is under someone under psychedelics, or even just triggering that. Not necessarily psychedelics, but just triggering that this this function of signals to the brain where you get.
Wait, is that what they call it? That's the scientific dysfunction of signals when.
Well, basically, they're not going where they're supposed to.
Ugh, you're starting with shit again. Okay, sorry, keep going.
Well, again, the normal
But
thought
but
process.
technically,
Yeah,
that's what it's happening
yeah, it's
because
dysregulation.
the
Yeah.
normalcy of the brain function
Mm-hmm.
is just doesn't happen at that point when the psychedelic takes over.
Yeah, so your brain isn't sending the signals where it wants to send them, basically.
Or it's trying to send.
Yeah. So they just send them random places that that brain region might not know what to do with them. So in your conscious mind, you basically see the unfiltered view of the world. And that's why we get these hallucinations. We see there's certain people that might see after images.
That's
If they
true.
look at a light, look away, the after image is still there because in normal processes the that image is removed, but under psychedelics there's nothing to remove it from your image, so it kind of stays there. You know, people might see trails, same thing. Your brain doesn't fully remove that trail, so it's like slowly catching up to it.
Yeah, it's like looking at a light super fast, and then when you
Yeah,
turn in, you still can catch the end of
yeah.
the line.
Except
That
that's
the
we
hue.
we can do that when we're sober,
Yeah,
but under psychedelics, your brain is functioning. Well, these
unfiltered
signals
or
are
unconsciously,
yeah.
technically.
Well, these signals are basically not getting to their destination as fast as they should, or not getting there at all. So even just moving slowly, you're gonna see the trails. You might also see that snow we were talking about earlier, that random signal firing.
Speckles.
Certain people say that they can see. Um, so everyone has floaters actually
I
in
didn't
their
know that. When you
eyes.
told me, I thought that was only people with stigmas.
No, everyone has them. More some people are more prone to having them, but most people will have them. Some people might have them super tiny. Other people might have like long strands of it.
Whoa, that'd be
Yeah,
fucked up.
yeah,
You just open your eyes, you see like a worm-looking thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a worm. Like for some people, it looks like a worm.
Damn.
For some people, that
Because I have
worm,
small ones. I just have little ones, and I don't always see them. I think it's probably when I'm tired or I'm laying down, my vision's kind of low.
most of the time people see them when they look at the sky, when they see a bright light.
That's true.
And you can also see them when you move your eyes around, since they're called floaters because they're basically
They're on top of the like.
in the jelly of your eye.
Yeah.
So if you move your eyes up and down or down up, you'll see them gradually move because it's gravity. So over time they can go away because of gravity. So over time they'll get pulled down to where you just don't see them anymore. They're not in your eyesight. But a lot of people also have them very pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
But the brain is very good at eliminating them.
Mm-hmm.
Of being like, hey, I know this is a floater.
They're still there, but you're not able to see them.
Yeah, and like you don't need to see them. So the brain's like,
Don't
don't pay attention to it. Like that signal doesn't get to your consciousness, so you don't see it. But under psychedelics, when you see these unfiltered raw data, you might see them and you might pay attention to them. So the next time you'll remember, oh, I have these things in my vision. So you might try to look for them, and since you're paying attention to it, you'll see it.
So as you were saying that, one question just popped in my head. So did we survive to really be able to get to know our possibilities?
What do you mean?
Because, as you explained earlier on on today's cast, we this was chosen because this was the best case scenario for us to survive long term.
Mm-hmm.
But now that obviously people are still dying every day, people are surviving every day, but we're not fighting animals and we're not against nature like that no more. Nature's our bitch for the most part until global warming hits you and it's not snowing tomorrow. But whatever. But now that we have this moment of true relaxation as far as humanity goes, because to me, when I hear those mechanisms were there, yeah, you can say they were the first version of vision or whatever, but they're still there. So to me, they're still part of us, regardless if it's the lower level version of what we have now. So now that we're kind of comfy, lazy.
Scientists would call it the higher version.
Wait, which one?
What we have now.
No, yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
obviously this is the better version because look, we can fucking see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is for sure. I wouldn't try to debate that.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we're comfy, because they're still there and we can manipulate things a little more and probably more in the future, could that be a insight to get to know, like to really? Because even like you mentioned earlier, we don't know because these two humanoids speaking on the internet right now didn't exist. A strand of DNA that made us did exist at some point, right? But what if we can understand that moment, those moments in that way?
I see what you're saying. And
because right now, even in the evolution theory, it's just kind of natural selection. It was kind of umbrellaed under that, but nobody really knows what that other humanoids or these other humanoids were actually doing or how the interaction.
well, because again, the way evolution works is just it's like a brain. It likes to be lazy. So the way
you say that a lot.
Yeah. So the way the evolution works is that
That's true.
it. So we have traits like we have traits that were never removed from us. So like we still have like people can be born with tails. Like it's not needed, but through evolution, like there's a possibility. Like
Did we have tails at some point?
Mm-hmm.
But like beyond the chimpanzee or the chimp
Mm-hmm.
part, we still had at some point we had tails.
Yeah.
Is there humanoids with tails, like that we found?
I don't know. Well, because I don't know if it's a tail. Like that's why we have
Or
the tail.
the tailbone, because we do have a tailbone.
That's why we have the tailbone.
Oh, it just got smaller technically, right?
But in certain people are born with like some sort of tail.
Yo, that'd be so annoying. You have to rip a hole in all your pants and boxers just to fucking have your fucking tail all flared up. That would be annoying. No, what that? See, that was smart. I understand that one. I was like, we don't need that.
So again,
We don't need
there's
that.
like some people do have like surgery to like remove it. I don't remember exactly how big it is. It could just be like a bump or like like a
just
small
small little-
bone
Yeah.
or like something.
It's not like an actual
Yeah,
tail.
it's not an actual
like
tail. Yeah, but you could have it removed. But again, through evolution, like nothing. It was never so bad that evolution had to get rid of it. So that's what I'm saying. We have stuff in our DNA that is just junk. We call it junk DNA.
like literal junk, right?
So we could say that these visions or these raw data or this capability to see this raw data is just junk.
All right. Let me see. Okay. So this junk data, right? The reason why you're getting that reaction out of me, as you always do when you say some crazy shit like that. Okay. Yes. It's not useful for us in this state that we're in this environment that we've developed so far. I'm good. It's junk.
Yeah.
But
Was it beneficial before?
when you go to the junkyard, you still look everywhere. Not the whole junkyard, but you still look everywhere hoping to find what you need.
Yeah, but if it's junk, if it's the visual snow, that's going to impede you looking at things.
Yeah, but going back to the basis of our conversation, we're trying to develop a on and off switch. This is not for us to end up with that outdated version of it.
And I see where you're going, but this would also require evolution, basically. So there would have to be two ways about it. We would either need to completely remove the junk, the actual junk part, and maybe we want the detailed view of everything, where we keep that, where the detailed view of everything we keep it,
We can put chip in our brains.
but we remove all the other random firing, all the other junk, or the opposite, where we just like so this way would be removing the junk DNA. This other way would be where we just implement it into our vision, but kind of work around it. That one would be way more difficult.
Yeah, but to cut the time short, at this point, we could. There's probably there beginnings of. There's a chip that we can probably implement to probably stop that or turn it off and on.
But that's the thing, though. We don't know how this raw data works. It could be that raw data encompasses all the raw data, like the detail and the junk part.
It can be the same thing, right?
It could be the same thing.
And then without one or the other, you don't have nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, okay, that's a good point. So yeah, because that's like trying to clean up the mess, right? Like that's just.
You have to clean up everything.
But you can't just cut this part that's quote unquote beneficial.
Because raw data, both of them are technically raw data.
Yeah, and even in the raw data, there would be the whole mechanism of that
allowing this raw data
to happen or be able visually, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But as far as the psychedelic state, there seems to be moments that we do go there.
I see what you're saying. Yes. So in that sense, the only way, again, how I was saying it would be way more complicated. The only way we'd be able to do it is analyze those signals,
right,
and be like, okay, these signals that we see as floaters, as your nose, yeah, let's send them to the junk. Let's not even send them to the consciousness. And these other signals of detail, color detail, fine detail, there's a whole thing called gating. So gating is your ability to outline things. So looking at this microphone, you're able to tell that it's right here.
Yeah, it like cuts off and it goes into a narrow position.
Yeah. So same thing there. Like if you get all the raw data, there is no gating. You're just getting everything full at you. Like right now, if I'm looking at it, that's getting in my vision. That's getting in my vision. That's getting in my vision.
True. And then what you're explaining, I feel our devices do that for us already. There's a process that we're not seeing that happens, right? It's just the difference between a programmer's laptop and a random person that just works an office
Mm-hmm.
job's laptop. It's the same thing technically, but you get two different visuals of it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Right?
and that's why our phones do that. That's why there's the bokeh effect,
Mm-hmm.
where you it knows to focus on something
Right.
because of that gating. So our brains
Mm.
do the same thing. So at that point, we would have to allow gating, allow this fine detail, allow these signals that have this, and send the bad signals, I guess, the junk signals, these floaters, your nose, and not have it be processed. So the only way for that would be is to specifically know what these signals are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We would have to know exactly, as how you put it earlier, the disruption and
Yeah,
where is that disruption happening in the neuron
yeah. So we would know. We
communication.
would have to know what neuron it is, and even how to send it, or even how to transport it.
Yeah, or know the process of what it's using to get
Hmm.
to that mechanism, right?
Because again, if the brain is disrupted, there's no way to know where it's going.
Yeah, but you, you're right. But as far as our experience, I would say my experience, the psychedelic state for that moment that you're there, you're there. For that moment, you're there, regardless if it's junk or not.
Well,
And
your brain is still there. Your consciousness is still there.
yeah, but if we go based on how you described it, we're kind of unconscious, right? Technically, we are unconscious in that.
And getting those signals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the disruption would, if the only way we're conscious is if there's no disruption.
Hmm.
But through that state, when you reach either hallucination or you have an ego death, right? We're unconscious because we don't have real control. Obviously, we can stop it. We can wake ourselves up. We can panic and quote unquote have a bad trip, but we're technically unconscious. It seems like the unconscious brain is fully
I
functioning.
see what you're saying, but even people sober
Yeah, like through
can,
meditation, they can reach that,
well,
right?
not even meditation. There's certain people that do have that disruption in their brain naturally.
Yeah, yeah, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's certain people that they can, like we were talking about, like they might be able to see more of their nose. They might be able to see these floaters more naturally. The trails, they would be able to see them. So they're not on any drug, but their brain is still disrupted and they notice it. So it's not necessarily that you need to be under effects of drugs to notice these effects.
No, no, and I wouldn't word it like that. Just, um, but even if we go to the natural example that you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
that would technically be unconscious because it wouldn't be the updated version that we're all using, right? Because we're lying back on this junk.
Yeah, but at that point, everything is unconscious. All our actions are
That's
unconscious.
true. 100%. Our brain is unconscious more
Mm-hmm.
than conscious, right? It just seems in you know me, I don't like using that word drugs when it comes to psychedelics, but it just seems in the psychedelic state, it's the immersiveness seems real enough where you can play around with it a little more. And obviously, that's speaking after you being very clear on your intention on that trip and knowing your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just always want to say stuff like that because it's not the same for everybody. But in my humble experience, it just seems, and even in different things you've told me, the immersiveness is there, man. Because I remember a story you told me about your friend that even after he came back, he felt like he was still in it. Like
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't believe that this was reality
Yeah.
again. It took him a little bit to kind of like get back into think.
Mm-hmm.
So those moments to me seem, because like I said, I don't want to go back to it, especially if it's the outdated version that is not good for us.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that, but there seems to be some usefulness on this quote unquote junk data because, and fuck it, I'm gonna go there because we're on the Higher Thought Show, and this is what we do here. Because to me, and something I've always repeated since I was little, and when I can't explain certain things that I just feel, notice, or see, because to me, there's something up there, there's something here, there's something there, and there's something beneath me.
Yeah.
Now,
Atoms.
yes, and these atoms could make up these different other realities that we don't have access to yet, right? Because being able to see in that detail oriented way, we can see other things or we can see beyond reality of our own because we're only made to see our reality. We're not made for nothing else. That's why it's easier to dismiss certain notions or certain ideas. Because if this is the only reality we know or we're supposed to see, it's easy to be like, no, of course not. Right? But because that was the best way for us to survive in this reality. But that doesn't mean there's nothing more beyond this.
That's true. So it is true that we might be able to see these atoms. How you were talking about earlier, your hand going through a table, you might be able to position it in a way to go straight through
Just right in the moment.
because you
Right in the
see
moment.
the atoms.
Yeah.
Yes, that is possible, but I don't think we have gotten to a point where we can code our DNA.
No, we have
To
obviously we have it.
yeah,
Yeah,
we haven't coded our
Yeah.
DNA to or figured out what the code is to see these atoms.
Because at the end of the day, we just develop some sort of contact or glasses that can just give it us automatically.
That is true. Yeah,
Right? Or we develop some software that goes in a chip
Mhm.
that just right.
has more zoom
Yeah.
basically.
At some point, the biological way is too long, and at some point we just make it. We just literally it's hardware adapted
Mhm.
to our biology, right? Because at some point that's what it's gonna be, right?
Mhm.
Even at the simple things as blue blockers, right? That was an adaptation made because this natural thing that we use every day is affecting our thing,
Mhm.
right? So to me, at that point, and at that point, it's not even it's not even worth the debate. At that point, we just got to develop the technology and let's see if we can get the eye to experience this at that level or a replacement of the eye to
Yeah.
a more high, right? Because, and that's why it's hard for me to accept the junk word with this thing where it's junk when we think from the inside out, but it might not be junk if we develop artificial eyes, I guess, or glasses or whatever over your eyes, you know. And I mean, obviously VR, the Apple Pro, and all that stuff. This is our like just little things scratching at that idea, but that doesn't make it junk. That makes us better.
I see, but
If we leave the biological format.
yeah, if we leave, yeah, because again, if you were to take an exact copy of a eye
Mm-hmm.
and you were to put it into a computer, it wouldn't know how to filter all the data.
Mm-hmm.
It would just get all the data and
And we just have it.
it would just be cluttered.
Yeah.
It would just be like if you're looking at the image right here, you would just be looking at colors everywhere. You wouldn't be able to distinguish anything.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's why we have. That's why our eyes and brain work together to distinguish perception, distinguish color, distinguish gradients, distinguish the gating I was talking about, and filter out things we don't need.
It's still the best version though. No matter what. It's still the best version.
And like we kind of touched on it earlier. Like yes, parts of it are good, like the fine detail part. Like again, right now when I'm talking, like I don't need to notice all these details on this microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't need it, but I could potentially want it now. Evolutionarily, like it was never needed, but now we might want it. So this could help out and just and I guess it would be more in like creativity where having more fine detail or looking at the details or understanding colors better. Or an example would be like if there's a car detailer, like they would know where there's a scratch. Like any random person would just go through it, but this person with disability could see the scratch.
But don't you think it would be useful in every aspect though? Because if you're an astronaut and you're space traveling, or you're on your next mission to the moon or to the Mars or whatever other planet we decide to go to turn on that in that environment for that help of awareness, wouldn't that
Of
be
course, I
good?
think it would be beneficial, but we would have to see how beneficial it is. Because if there's only like a 1% increase in our
That's true, right?
detail, like it's
Yeah,
not worth it.
it's not worth it,
At the
and
same,
it's not really an advancement at
yeah,
that point.
and also we would have to look at its energy consumption.
Yeah.
So it could be that
Well, it can
activating.
run through the spacesuit. It probably doesn't even have to run on us. It
Mhm.
would have to run like through the spacesuit, or like even the visor would already be kind of a different system,
Yeah,
like kind of like Iron Man type vibes.
yeah, but like just naturally speaking, like activating that part, like again, how we were talking about earlier, where it's one or nothing, all that junk data. Like let's say we are able to distinguish or separate the junk from this beneficial part of it. It could be that this beneficial part of it takes up too much energy, and that could eventually maybe lead to malnutrition, um, leading to less offspring. So if we were able to, it might not be beneficial to have it on all the time, maybe, or even to have it on even for a short period of time.
That's true. There might be side effects, right?
Hmm.
That comes with that
Yeah.
confusion of like what the brain's like. What? Wait,
Hmm.
where'd that come from? I thought I got rid of this. Shouldn't
Yeah,
be
it
here.
might be working overtime, basically.
Yeah, and that might cost whatever comes
Hmm.
with the. Okay, last question. We'll wrap it up so we don't leave too late. So, do you think at the pace that we're discovering the potential, the function, and what is our brain, it seems to be at this pace because it's like, well, I was this kind of little kid. I was a kind of little kid that liked to take things apart. I remember taking VCRs, old PCs. I would even take some old TVs. I even at some point took apart like an old speakers, and it's cool, right? But at that point, there's no point to it.
What do you mean?
So what if to the point where we 100% understand the human mind, and then we understand it, but we open it, but we don't really know what to do with it because the way you describe it or the way you've been taught or trained, it just kind of happens.
Evolution or
No, the brain function. Like these things happen,
yeah, they're
right? It just kind of, there's no rhyme or reason for it, but it just, this is the program. And it's going to hit that neuron to do this.
the program is because it's always worked. It's gotten us to this point.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that maybe we shouldn't know everything about the brain.
We should not know everything.
No, maybe. Because maybe like me when I was a little kid and I would open that VCR, it was cool. Got my whatever shit I was my but did I really know what to do with those things that I opened and I took apart?
I see what you're saying,
And
but
just more on a philosophy point, obviously, more I'm stating this statement, not scientific.
yeah, but
Obviously, I want to know everything about the brain.
as a little kid, you weren't able to modify it. You weren't able to to see why things were done, or even see if you could improve any parts of it.
Yeah, but even in that same statement you just made, not everybody should be allowed to modify it.
Why not? That's evolution.
No, and we will, and we are, technically, right? We already are with these extended things that we're using. I'm amplifying my voice, right? Literally. But I don't know. It just seems that we're just going to leave it open and not put it back together or mess something up where the natural sense of it, whatever that is just kind of impeccable in function. But that has 100% happened without our our intervenings aside from simple actions to dealing with the environment we exist on. right?
Mhm.
And what if we disrupt that natural mechanism in action in programming? It's just an interesting thing, as you were saying. Of course, I want to know about that. I don't want to limit, and we will at some point. But I don't know. The reason why we're even at the pace of what we just know now, and we still don't know a lot, but that's just some of the few things we know. It just feels like maybe that's why the pace is at that point
Well,
for now, because there's a different reality where we have full function and we understand, and it's like a second thought
I
to
see.
us.
Well, the pace has always been
That one though,
the
that's what
pace. Yeah, it's always been the same
kind of
because
a long, slow,
Mhm.
right? No, it was just more of another philosophy side, if
and we're gonna
anything.
stay slow. We're gonna
I don't
well again without technology, without if we just stay without technology at the pace we're going,
know.
it's gonna
It's even why we're even having this notion of theories in this conversation. Because if we didn't think we can edit it or go faster, we wouldn't even have this conversation.
That's
In
true.
reality, right? We don't exactly have the know-how right now exactly, but at some point it seems like we will
Mhm.
because we're already thinking about it, we're already theorizing. So there's something there, right? There's some
Yeah.
meat on the bone. So, ladies and gentlemen, well, first of all, any final thoughts you want to give our beautiful people out there?
No,
All right, ladies.
just that this was filmed on Xperia Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 5.
Get your shit out, man. Yes, this was streamed on a Sony Android phone. Just show some solidarity to my Android brothers out there in sisters. But there's been another episode of the Higher Thought Cast. Please subscribe, like the stream, and I am HT, and that's Osvaldo.